Thank you for coming, sir. I need to swear you in.
Okay.
Hold up your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Could you state your name for the commission?
Brian Hickey,
Where do you live?
120 Fairway Acres Road.
And is that just on the outskirts of Baker?
It's just south of the fairgrounds.
Okay. How long have you lived there?
1996.
What is your occupation?
I'm self-employed.
Are you married?
Yes,
And what does your spouse do?
she works at the insurance store.
Do you have a need for garbage service at your residence?
I do.
Okay, and what type of service do you need?
Household trash.
They have garbage service,
I do.
and who provides that?
G&G Garbage.
How long have you had that service?
Since we moved out there, whoever Griffith had it first, since 96. Best of my recollection.
And do you know whether Griffith still owns G&G, or do you find that they no longer run that service?
Whoever was picking up garbage back in 1996 was picking up the garbage. I think, who was that? I don't know.
Is it your understanding it's still the same company today?
G&G Garbage hasn't been here that long, have they? It wasn't, is that what they originally called it? Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Griffiths called it G&G Garbage,
Okay,
right?
you're answering the question, so I'm just trying to figure out.
I believe so.
Okay.
I've slept since then, so.
Do you have a,
Same company, different owners. Is that what we need?
yes,
Yeah, thank you. All right.
do you know when the ownership changed?
I couldn't tell you that. It's been a while.
Do you have a garbage container
I do.
that, does it look like the garbage containers that are within the city of Baker, similar?
Yes, they're the big black containers.
Okay. And who owns the container?
I do.
Is your garbage service a scheduled regular pickup or as needed?
I believe it's supposed to be once a week. Our garbage truck shows up there every week. I asked my wife if we were supposed to be on a weekly and she said yes.
And do you know what day of the week it typically is picked up?
You know, it's Wednesday or Thursday maybe. Sometimes they're there on Tuesdays, sometimes they're on Friday. Doesn't matter, but as long as it's picked up every week. I'm not that. I understand, I'm a small business owner, so I understand stuff happens.
Have you experienced any problems with the service?
Sometimes I don't get service every week.
Have there been occasions where you did not receive service in a week?
Yes.
Okay. And how often did that happen?
In the last year or two, it's probably been a dozen times. Garbage cans full over the weekend. I got no place to go with it, so.
You kind of answered this, but I want to just clarify. So when did you first see these problems, that problem start?
Well, it's been going on, that was going on last year.
Okay. Did you ever report those problems to G&G?
I think that tipped my wife off one time and she called. That probably been last year sometime. I'm not sure.
Did you ever have a problem with billing?
My wife handles that stuff, but yes, she said we never did really ever get an invoice. I'm not sure if she has it, she just pays it yearly maybe, I'm not sure. She takes care of all of that stuff So. But I think she did mention something about she just pays, might pay it all at once, I don't remember. Maybe it comes out monthly, I'm not sure.
I have what I have marked as Exhibit 11, which is an invoice with handwriting on it. Can I approach the witness and hand it to him?
Yes. Yes.
Do you recognize that
I
document?
most certainly do.
And what is it?
That is an invoice that I got for G&G garbage.
And
The reason I know this invoice thing is because my wife actually went, "Look, sweetheart, an invoice." So I naturally assumed it didn't happen that often.
and whose handwriting is on that
That
invoice?
is my handwriting.
And I would move to admit Exhibit 11.
So moved.
All right, Exhibit 11 is admitted.
Yes.
All right. And what did you do with this invoice?
I believe that what sparked me to write that on the invoice is, I did not receive service for a month continuous. And I was actually told that my daughter and son-in-law said it was actually 5 continuous weeks. But I'll go with the 4 I wrote on. And that they sent a letter and apologized for what went on and not having any service in, I believe it was January or something like that. And that they would give me a one-time 25% discount on my bill. And that is unacceptable to me as a businessman. If you do not provide me a service for a month, and then you have the audacity to send me a bill and then say you're gonna give me 25% off of 1 month's billing, and you don't give me any service for a month, I'm not gonna pay that bill. That's what this came from.
And so did you mail this back to Gigi?
I told my wife to. Evidently she did. If she didn't mail it to him, this wouldn't be here, right? I don't know.
Do you have any other complaints about their service?
Not that I can think of now. I mean, sometimes they don't show up. I didn't get any service for at least 4 weeks.
And since the writing of that invoice, has the service from G&G gotten better?
I believe they have been there every week.
Do you know Fred Varner?
I do.
Have you ever had the opportunity to work with him?
On multiple occasions, yes.
Did you observe the condition of his equipment ever?
Fred's equipment?
Mhm.
Yes, I do.
And what condition was his equipment in?
We're moving dirt and digging dirt, and their equipment is always clean and in pristine condition. You just need to go out and look at his pickup. It stays that way 99% of the time. So do his boys.
Did you submit an affidavit in support of Southeast Garbage LLC's application for a Class D certificate?
I believe that's what that affidavit was for, yes.
And do you support Fred's Southeast Garbage's application for that certificate?
100%.
If they were to be granted that application, would you consider using their service for garbage service?
I would, because that would give me a choice to where to go with my business. Right now, I don't have a choice. I have a choice, I guess, to take it out to the landfill, but who wants to go out there and pay a minimum fee or out to the garbage? That's not what I have that service for. It's not what I pay for. It's a convenience. I don't like hauling trash 32 miles north to work to throw it away for a month.
And is that what you had to do when,
I did. My wife would take a sack, she'd take it down maybe to the insurance store behind in the garbage can there, and I took, I don't know how many sacks of garbage up to work and threw it in the roll-off bin up at my work.
do you have any concerns about the garbage service G&G provides if Southeast Garbage's application is denied?
I don't know. I just would like to see somebody show up every week. They have a track record of not, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
I
They
don't,
show up more often than not, but still. I end up with a full garbage can, it's supposed to be a weekly service, and sometimes they don't show up.
thank you. I don't have any other questions at this time.
Ms. Tappas, you can proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Hickey.
Hello.
You mentioned you're self-employed, and looking at the exhibit on exhibit 11.
I didn't put my hearing aids in,
Okay.
so you're just a little bit,
Sure, I'll speak up.
thank
Is
you.
that better?
It is perfect. I've only got 27% on my ears.
Darcy will be happy, because if I talk loudly, I have to talk slower too. The invoice that you have in front of you,
Mhm.
which is exhibit 11, it says Wolverine Productions. Is that your company?
It is.
Okay. What does Wolverine Productions do?
I am an independent contractor in the oil field, and I take care of a natural gas compression plant and a bunch of natural gas wells.
Do you have employees, or is it just you?
I'm pretty much basically the only employee. It just so happens that last week and right now I have a hand sitting out that I'm paying money.
A hand
We're
being,
supposed-
and is somebody to help
Hired
you?
hand, yeah. We're supposed to be working. But usually it's just me.
And the only service that you have though is the residential 400-gallon black tote or black
Yes,
tub?
yes.
Okay. Have you ever used any other services from G&G?
Don't remember.
No roll-offs?
I think I had a roll-off container. We got hail and I stripped shingles off, so I think that was from G&G. I don't know, that was 3-4 years ago or something like that. How long have the current owners of G&G Garbage owned it?
We'll get into that later. But so 3 or 4 years ago, you may have had a container?
It's probably more than 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. Did you have any trouble with that roll-off container?
No,
Was it a single placement where they placed it and then took it to the dump, or did they place it multiple times, do you recall?
no, they just brought it up, dropped it off, and when I was done with it, I called them, they come and picked it up.
Okay, no issues with that service.
None whatsoever, no.
And so the building that we're talking about, does that cover your business and your house? Do you run your business out of your house?
My business is my house, yes,
Okay.
and shop.
And do you fill up your container every week?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, a lot of times the big lid won't go closed all the way, so,
Often.
yeah, most of the time.
Have you ever been charged an overage fee?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. Those big black tubs, you don't move them every week in and out of your garage or anything, do you?
No, it stays in that little cage that it's in.
Okay.
They pick it up, set it back down in the cage. It never moves, never goes anyplace else.
Okay.
It's been in that same spot since 1996.
It's been a while. Have you had the same container since 1996?
No, I haven't. This might be the third one.
And has G&G replaced those containers for you?
Oh, no, I paid for every one of them.
Okay. And when's the last time you replaced one?
And that I couldn't tell you. I've had this current one probably It's the new style, so. I couldn't tell you, it's probably been 5 years or more.
Okay. You've had it for a while then.
I've had it for a while, yes.
Okay.
The top has stayed on this one, it's a little better design, so.
And so you said that a dozen times in the last year that you weren't getting weekly service. Do you recall that?
It's approximately the last year, yes.
Okay.
Last year, year and a half, whatever. It's probably been a dozen times,
Okay.
at least.
And so that started in 2023,
Probably started before that too, maybe,
in 2022?
maybe.
Okay.
I can't say for sure.
Prior to this issue starting, did you have trouble with your weekly pickups?
No,
And when you had a missed service, and let's talk about prior to January of this year, okay?
okay.
So when you had a missed service, did you call anyone about that?
I believe the wife was upset one time, and it takes a lot to upset my wife, so.
But you didn't make any calls, did you?
I did not make any calls, I let her handle that.
Okay, and did you talk to your driver ever?
No, not other than to say, hi, how you doing? Just general conversation.
And do you know who your driver was during that period?
I remember his first name, is it Efta?
Would it be Corey Efta?
That's the guy, yeah, that's the guy, yeah. I think so.
Okay. So let's talk about when we get to this issue where that led you to write the note on the invoice in front of you, okay?
Mhm.
That was four, at least, missed pickups in January of 2024, is that accurate?
I don't know when that cold snap started. It started in January. It bled over into the first week in February, I can't remember.
So right around
Yeah,
the
right
very
around that
first part
big
of the
cold
year?
snap, that's when this problem happened.
Okay. And did you call G&G about this?
No, I did not. Once again, it was on Facebook. They were having issues, whatever, they were trying to rectify them.
Okay, but you didn't call in
I
to,
didn't call them.
Okay.
No. They were, I think there was some communication on Facebook, I'm not sure. I'm not on Facebook, I don't believe it. So.
and you didn't contact the driver?
No.
Okay.
Other than to shake my head with what he was driving and how he was picking up his garbage, my wife showed me.
And did you provide this invoice in front of you to the Varners?
To the Varners, I don't remember how they got this. I don't remember how this come about.
Do you recall taking a picture of it when you,
I do.
okay.
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I might have.
Would you have sent a picture of it to the Varners?
I may have.
Okay.
I don't remember.
And
It's been a couple months ago.
when did you write this? That was my next question. You hit it first.
I wrote this as soon as my wife gave it to me and she received it. Because she said, look, sweetheart, an invoice. Not really.
Okay, and so it says here that it's due by March 1st on that invoice. Do you see that line on there? It's down at the bottom under the black to amount due.
See amount due.
Okay.
I see customer ID, invoice number, invoice date, January 31st.
Okay,
Billing period the 1st to January 31st. Oh, due by March 1, 2024.
okay. And so would you have written this note
That I don't know.
prior to March 1st?
That I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Did you write this note, well, scratch that. When did you learn that the Varners were applying for a permit to haul garbage?
I don't know, general conversation for somebody. Somebody said something there.
Do you know when that would have been?
That probably wasn't long after this. I don't remember.
So did
It
you
was
write,
after this.
okay. So why did you take a picture of the invoice?
I don't remember. I might have sent it to. Everybody was talking about the garbage at that time. I might have sent it to Chad, I don't remember. Chad Arm?
Okay. But you believe that you wrote this before you knew that they were applying for a garbage hauling
Yeah,
permit?
I wrote this as soon as this bill was in my wife's hand.
Okay. But you learned about their garbage hauling application
That
after?
was after that.
Okay.
That was after this was written.
You testified earlier that G&G has been doing better. Do you recall that?
Yes, things have gotten better since January, February.
Okay, so since you had the 4 missed pickups that you wrote this note about, have things gotten improved in service?
Yes, they have.
You stated that you know Fred Varner.
I do.
How
I
do you
lived
know?
here almost 60 years. It's hard to not to know him.
Do you know him in any manner other than it being a small town? Do you have any other
We
relationship?
have a working relationship, but that's about it. Every once in a while, they have to come out and dig up a gas leak that I have. And if they're free, they come out and do it. Sometimes they do it on a weekend because they're not free during the week.
Okay, so they're working on sites that you have contracts for?
Just the work relationship, yeah.
Sure.
We don't go to supper, break bread together, nothing like that. So.
You said you would consider using Southeast Garbage if they were approved for a permit. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Does it depend on what price they would offer the services at?
I'm more of a service type gentleman.
Okay,
If
so,
they were $10 a month more expensive, it wouldn't bother me.
okay. Is there a breaking point on that when it would be too expensive?
Well, if they're gonna charge me $500 a month, yeah, I'll haul it to Pine Unit.
Sure. How about double what you pay per month? Would that be reasonable?
Like I said, again, I'm a service guy.
Okay,
You're looking at a guy who's been on call for 24/7, 365 for 23 years by myself, so I'm a service guy. Service costs money. $500 a month, no.
okay.
You charge me $50 a month, I wouldn't care, pick up my garbage.
So let me just make sure I understand your testimony today. So
Yep.
it was your testimony that sometime in 2022 or 2023, you started having missed pickups,
Yep,
which culminated in approximately 4 weeks, at least 4 that you know of missed service in January.
4 continuous weeks.
Yes, in January. And that service has improved since that time,
Yes, it is.
and they have picked up every week since that time.
I believe so.
Okay, and during those missed pickups prior to January, you yourself did not call G&G
I
to
did
complain?
not, see, and I leave that to my wife.
Okay, and during the 4 missed pickups in January, you yourself did not call G&G?
No, I did not. I wrote this. I think you can understand how my Irish showed up. That's why I don't call. My wife's not Irish. I am.
No further questions.
All right, we'll move to commissioner questions. Commissioner Bukacek, any questions? Okay,
No questions.
thank you, Commissioner Bukacek. I have a couple clarifying questions. So it looks like we went a month or maybe longer. They offered a 25% discount for that month. When you got the note back to them, did they then credit the full month or not?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the bookkeeper that, which would be my wife.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. The other thing that I thought we should clarify is, looks like 3 or more times the container had to be replaced and you paid for those containers each time.
I've always paid for the containers, yes.
What went wrong where they had to be replaced?
They were crappy designs. The hood hinged way at the back and it was real narrow. And when they flopped over, especially when the wind come up, in case you noticed, the wind blows in southeastern Montana. It peels the lids over and they would break back there. This is a much better design. It's gonna last, because there's a cover that comes up from the back towards the front, probably halfway, and then there's a small lid that lifts. But in the back, it's a lot sturdier design.
But they weren't damaged because of the
They were
truck.
not damaged because of the
Truck.
garbage. Whoever was providing that service at the time, it was just normal wear and tear and a damn poor design.
Thank you, sir. No more questions. Yes. Would you like to cross-examine?
I don't have any,
Mind if I interject? Ms. Peppers, any
no
request,
recross, sorry,
That was supposed to go.
any redirect?
no redirect, thank you.
Okay, do you want to permanently excuse this witness or temporarily excuse this witness?
He can be permanently excused.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Wasman, you can call your next witness.
Thank you. I would call Shane Bentonhausen.
Sir, we have to swear you in. I need you to raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do. Thank you, sir. Once you're
Thank you. Could you state your name for the commission?
Shane Benthausen,
Could you spell your last name?
Bettenhausen.
Where do you currently live?
81 Canal Road.
Is that in Fallon County? How long have you lived there? What is your occupation?
Part-time for Fallon County.
What do you do for Fallon County?
And range, running pistol competitions.
Are you married?
I am,
And what does your spouse do?
pardon me,
What does your spouse do?
she's retired,
And what is she retired from?
school teaching.
Do you have a need for garbage service out at Canal Road where you live?
We do.
What type of service?
We need the soft garbage hauled away. Basis. 71, 81 and 7 Canal Road, so there's 2 residences.
Does someone else live at the other residence?
A letter in there.
Oh, okay. Do you have one container or 2? Do you currently pay for a garbage service? Do you currently pay for a garbage
Yes,
service? Who provides that?
G&G.
How long have they been doing that? And at your residence, do you have a large black garbage container similar to what they have in the city?
We do.
Who owns that container?
I think probably G&G does now. I used to, but it's been changed several times.
And do you know why it has been changed several times?
The lid was breaking up on it one time and then the hooks.
And does G&G replace that just as needed? Is that a yes?
Pardon me?
Is that a yes?
Yes, yes.
Is your garbage service scheduled for regular pickup?
Scheduled for Wednesday.
And is it picked up on schedule?
Sometimes.
And when it is not picked up on schedule or as scheduled, when is it picked up?
I don't know if they've missed a week for a while. There was a time about a year ago that these days it can be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Have you experienced with any problems with G&G's service?
Well, yeah, it's somewhat inconsistent. Billing is a lot to figure out.
And can you explain what is hard to figure out?
I'm sorry.
Did you say the billing is hard to figure out?
Yeah, it is. I signed up to have it deducted from my account at the bank, like they wanted me to do. It took about 3 months to get that squared away. Once I sent it in. They kept losing the emails, I guess, and kept calling it. Finally got that set up. I think it was around the first of the year, but I still have got several paper invoices. Kind of inconsistent.
Why did it take 3 months to get the automatic payments set up?
The first time when I called, they just hadn't checked the emails. I sent the paperwork in, emailed it. She was very polite, apologized, and she took care of it. The following month, it's the same thing.
And how often do you still get paper invoices?
I did check. I got one, it was in I believe, January, and I got another one in March.
And have you called when you received the paper
I
invoices?
haven't called about that. I called just trying to get it set up a couple times. Eventually, it looks like I checked the account. They did take it out of the checking account after they sent the paper out. I haven't checked to see if they deducted the paper charge.
What do you mean by paper charge?
To send out a paper invoice, they charge you $2.
In your experience, has G&G consistently met your needs for garbage service?
Have they consistently? No. It's been kind of hit or miss.
Has the service appeared to get improved recently?
Yeah, it's improved from what it was a year ago. Yeah.
Did you ever observe your garbage being picked up?
Occasionally.
Did you have any observations about their equipment that they were using?
Well, yeah, the truck was pretty bad shape a year ago. It didn't, the hydraulics didn't work. Kid was hauling garbage out by hand in the truck. I don't know if that's going on anymore. I haven't watched lately. They're usually not there long enough to do that, so it's probably.
Do you know Fred Varner?
Oh, yeah.
Do you support Southeast Garbage's application for a certificate to transport garbage?
Southeast Garbage.
So Southeast Garbage that consists of Fred, Barry, and Chad.
Okay,
And if their application is approved, would you consider using their service for garbage?
absolutely.
When you did call in to G&G with your concerns, can you tell me about how that process looked for you? Did you use a phone?
Yes.
And where did you call?
I called, that would have been Dickinson.
And were they able to address your concerns?
They, as far as transferring over to the bank, to my account, that took about 3 months to get that done. Now, my wife called them on the service about a year ago when they I'm not sure how they treated her.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions.
Ms. Pappas, you may cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Mr. Bettenhausen.
Hello.
So, to make sure I understand, the service you have with G&G is a 400-gallon black tub, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you share that between your house and your rental house?
Right.
Okay. And do you typically fill that every week?
I'm sorry.
Do you typically fill that every week?
Yeah, pretty close, I would say. There's only 2 of us in one house, so that's not much, but the rental house there's 4.
Have you ever used G&G for any other garbage removal services? And I believe you testified you run the gun range here?
I'm sorry.
You run the gun range here?
Well, I run competitions, yeah.
And do you have any garbage service associated with that business, or is it at your house?
That's at my house.
Okay. So if you have a competition, are you putting your waste in your tub?
No, that's at the gun range and the county handles that.
Okay. So the county provides service for the gun range. Okay. You testified that about a year ago, G&G missed about a month of pickups?
They missed several weeks, yeah.
Okay, and that was around a year ago?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay. And do you know who the driver was then?
Corey something or other.
Okay. And did you call G&G to report the missed pickups?
My wife did, and I think she probably called Corey too.
Okay. And did they, and they resumed pickups after that?
They did once the truck was repaired, yeah. Or replaced, I don't know what they did.
Have you had missed pickups since that period a year ago?
I think they've been there every week. The days are kind of inconsistent, but as far as I know, they haven't missed a complete week.
Okay. And so you said one of the problems you had was inconsistent service. Is that the 4 weeks that they didn't pick up?
That was the bad time.
Okay. You also mentioned that their G&G's truck was in bad shape about a year ago.
Yeah, there was a lot of oil leaking. You could see it on the ground and on the dumpster.
And was Corey driving at that time too?
He was, yeah.
Have you observed G&G's trucks this year?
I really haven't been over there a lot in the last several months to watch. And I'm not sure what day they're gonna be there, so I haven't really seen it that much.
You know Fred Varner? How do you know Fred?
We're reasonably close to the same age. We both lived here forever.
Grew up together?
Kind of.
Is it reasonable to say you're supporting your friend today?
I don't know. I know Fred. I know how he runs his business. He's very good at it. He takes care of things. Things are done on time. He says he's going to do something. He does it.
And you stated that you would consider using Southeast Garbage's services if they were to get a permit, correct?
Sure. Yes. So,
Does the cost of the service matter to you?
well, yeah, within reason. Yeah.
And regarding the auto payment issues that you had, your issue was that it took some time to get set up.
Yeah, it took about 3 months.
And then you've gotten a paper invoice since then,
I have not every month, but it's like once in a while I forget.
but they are auto debiting your account now.
Eventually,
And so that's been resolved.
Guess we'll see.
Nothing else.
Okay, we'll go to commissioner questions. Commissioner Bukacek, any questions? Doesn't sound like it. I do not have any questions.
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Bukacek. Any recross or redirect or contamination?
There are no commissioner questions.
Okay,
Any direct redirect?
no redirect, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to permanently excuse this witness?
He may be excused permanently.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. You may be excused permanently. Ms. Wasman, you can call your next witness.
I would call Justin Moser.
Yes, questions.
Sir, I need you to stand and raise your right hand.
Sorry.
No, I tell you. Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, sir. Ms. Wiseman, your witness.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the commission
Justin Moser.
and where do you live?
I live in Baker. You need a,
No.
okay,
How long have you lived in Baker?
10 years,
What is your current occupation?
manager at Fort World Service.
Are you married?
Yes,
What does your spouse do?
she is county health nurse.
Does 4J well service require garbage services?
Yes,
And what type of service do they require?
we have one big roll-off, like 20-yard container and 3 of the pickup dumpsters.
And when you say 3 pickup dumpsters, is that
The
like a
black
household?
ones, yeah, like the household ones.
Do you currently have a garbage service that collects those containers?
Yes,
And which company provides that service?
G&G garbage.
How long have they been doing it?
I've only been here 10 years, and I believe that they were doing it since I've been here.
Who owns the containers that you use?
I believe we own the black ones, from what I understand, and then they own the big roll-off ones.
Are the services on a regularly scheduled pickup or just as needed?
The household dumpster ones are regularly. The other one is we call for service.
What is the schedule for pickup on the smaller garbage containers?
I believe they're there on Tuesday or Wednesdays.
How often do you need the 20-yard roll-off service direct?
That varies, usually about once a month.
Are the 3 household dumpsters picked up as they're scheduled to be?
I think for the most part, yeah.
Have there ever been occasions where they were not picked up?
Yeah. I think it started in October, November last year. They were not getting picked up as often as they normally would.
Did you ever have full dumpsters?
Yeah.
Did you ever call G&G to inquire?
I don't remember if I called.
Have you ever called their customer service line that you're aware of?
Yeah.
And why did you call?
That's usually to request service.
Oh, on the roll-up
Yeah,
container, okay. And so, tell me about, calling to have that picked up and exchanged. How does that work?
I usually just call them and tell them our company name and what town we're in and tell them our dumpster's full and they schedule it to come out and get it sometime.
How much time between requesting the service and receiving the service would you say passes?
Typically, it's within the week. There was some times where it was a lot longer than that, but
How many times would you say it was longer?
probably 2 or 3 times.
In what stretch of period of time?
End of last year, in the beginning of this year.
Beginning with that like October?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have to make alternate arrangements when you had a full?
So when the black dumpsters got full, we started using the roll-off dumpster and it would fill up faster. That's a higher rate to dispose of, I think. So we went and bought an incinerator and started burning our own garbage to try to have less, I guess.
When they would exchange or empty your garbage within the week timeframe you described, was that meeting your needs?
Yeah, usually.
And then on the 2 to 3 occasions when it took longer than a week, was that what was the consequence of that?
Well, we would start hauling some of our trash out to the container site.
And did you have to do that on
Yep.
some occasions? Did you have any problems with billing from G&G?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you ever observe G&G picking up the roll-off for the smaller garbage dumpsters?
Yes.
Did you make any observations about the equipment that they were using?
Yeah, the ones that were, the truck they were using to pick up the household dumpsters, I guess we call them, had a terrible hydraulic leak, left hydraulic oil all over the road. You could follow it all through town wherever it had gone. Then there was at one point where the individual was pulling the trailer and digging the sacks out of our dumpster. We have a lot of loose garbage, so a lot of it wasn't sacked. He was digging out the sacks and throwing them on a trailer. All of it off.
And was that by hand?
Yep.
Did you observe that on one occasion or more than one occasion?
More than one. Yeah.
Do you have other options for garbage hauling that you know of?
No, do it ourselves, I guess.
So in your experience, has G&G consistently met your needs?
Up until around October, yeah.
Has the service improved in any recent times?
Yes,
And when would you say it started improving?
just in the last month or so.
Do you know Fred Berner?
Yes,
Do you know Barry and Chad?
Yes,
Um, Are you familiar with Fred's equipment or operations?
yes.
What have you observed about Fred's equipment?
It's probably some of the best maintained equipment I've seen in the industry.
Do you support Fred's application for a Class D certificate for public convenience and necessity to haul garbage?
Yes,
If he was awarded or granted his application, would you consider using Southeast Garbage, which is the name of their company, to provide garbage services?
yes,
And would you do that even if, I'll withdraw that question. Do you have any concerns about the current garbage service provider's service if Southeast Garbage's application is denied?
yeah, I wonder if it'll be back to what we had before.
I don't have any further questions.
All right. Ms. Pappas, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you, Commissioner Panucci. Good afternoon, Mr. Messer. So you filed a affidavit in this matter, is that correct?
Yes,
And the address you listed here is 3614 Highway 7. Is that your house or your business
that's
or
our
both?
business address.
Okay. Where's your house?
211 East Main in Baker.
Baker?
Yeah.
And so do you have garbage service in town?
City garbage service, yes.
And have you lived in town for some time?
Yes,
How long?
10 years.
And do you have any issues with your residential service from the city of Baker?
No, I'm not.
And do they get to you every week?
Yes,
And so your business address, make sure I'm understanding, okay? You have the 3 black tubs.
yeah,
And do those stay at your business location?
yeah, they're located out front.
And then you have a roll-off container. Does that move?
We don't move it, no, it stays at our location and then they come pick it up and take it out.
Okay, and you had mentioned that you called in your location. When you're calling in your location for a pickup, is it always your shop site or do
Yes.
you take your dumpsters elsewhere?
We don't have the equipment to move it.
And so what sort of work does 4J Well Service do?
We service oil wells in the oil field out here.
Where I live, if it says well service, it's probably a water
Water
well.
well, yeah,
Do you have employees?
yes,
How many employees do you have?
68.
68. And do you own the business or are you the manager, did you say?
I'm the manager,
And do you supervise those employees?
to a certain extent, yes.
Okay. And what kind of territory do you cover for your well service?
We were South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana.
Okay, and you're based in Baker?
Yep.
Do you have any other office locations?
No.
Are all your employees based out of Baker?
Yes, well, based out of Baker, but some of them live in like Bowman and stuff, but
Okay, Bowen being North Dakota?
Yeah.
So. Do you have trouble getting employees?
there are times,
Do your employees have to have CDLs?
I have some that do, yes.
Okay. How many people have jobs that require CDLs?
I think it's 14.
14? Okay. So a small percentage of your.
Yes,
Is it hard to find people with CDLs?
it can be, yeah.
Have you ever had a problematic employee?
Yes,
Does it take a while to deal with a problem employee?
not typically,
Okay. How do you deal with a problem employee?
usually just terminate them.
Okay. Have you ever contacted Miles City Sanitation Services about servicing your roll-off container?
No.
Now, going back over your testimony, you testified that the tubs, is it okay if I call them a tub?
Yeah,
You
that's
know what
fine,
I'm talking
yeah.
about? Okay. You testified in October or November that you had some trouble with pickups. Do you know how many pickups were missed?
No, all I can say is that every time we looked out there, they were,
Okay, but you don't know if they missed one pickup or multiple?
no, I'm not there all the time, so.
Do you know who the driver was for G&G at that time?
I believe so.
Was it
Mr. Efta, I believe.
Corey Efta?
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe you testified you didn't know if you called G&G about that. Did you contact Mr. Efta?
No,
And you also testified about your roll-off dumpster, right?
Yeah.
And you said that typically it was a 7-day turnaround and that was acceptable, or 7 days or less and that was acceptable, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said 2 or 3 times, either at the end of last year or beginning of this year, you had some trouble with the roll-off not being removed as timely as you'd like. How long did it take to get roll-off service, those 2 or 3 times?
there was a couple times I had to call multiple times to get. The problem was is we were filling it up because our dumpsters were always full, so we were needing sooner than even.
Okay, and so were you having you talked about your issue with your tubs in October or November. Were you having another issue with your tubs at the end of the year, beginning of this year?
That continued from October on until probably, I would say February, it seemed like it.
Okay, and was the roll-off driver at that time also Mr. Efta?
I don't know.
Okay. Since the beginning of this year, since the issues in end of December, beginning of January, have you had issues with your roll-off containers being timely removed?
No.
And since after January of this year, have you had issues with your tubs being timely removed?
Not that I can recall.
I guess I should say timely hauled off.
Yeah,
No issues you recall? You testified that there was an individual that was loading a trailer by hand. Was that also in December, January?
yeah,
Okay. And Ms. Wassman asked you how often, and she asked you if it was more than once. You said yes. Would it be twice?
I personally saw him twice.
Twice. And would that would have been around December, January as
Yeah,
well?
I'm not sure, but I know it was this winter sometime.
Okay. And you mentioned that there was some hydraulic fluid you observed coming out of the truck. When was that?
That was this fall.
Last fall. Okay.
It was kind of all over town.
Have you
could see
seen
it
that?
everywhere.
Have you seen that since the time?
No.
Do you use heavy equipment at your work?
Yes,
Does it require a lot of maintenance?
it does.
If somebody's not maintaining it, does it tend to break apart?
It does.
How do you know Fred Varner?
Just in town.
Have you known him a long time?
Yeah.
And how do you know Barry Varner?
Oh, they were in high school when I was.
Barry, they being Barry and Chad, is that fair?
Well, Chad wasn't, but Barry would have been, yeah.
And do you know Chad the same way or a different
Yeah,
relationship?
Just your town.
Okay, do you work with them?
No.
Have you worked for them?
No.
For 4J Well Services, does price of service matter to the company?
Yes,
And so the price of the garbage service would matter to you guys?
Yeah.
So when you said you would support Southeast Garbage, is that dependent on the price they were able to offer?
not always. I mean, sometimes services, you pay better for service.
Nothing for everything. Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll move to commissioner questions. Commissioner Buchcheck, any questions?
None, sir.
Thank you. I have no questions. Ms. Wasman, would you like to redirect?
No redirect, thank you.
You want to temporarily or permanently excuse this witness?
I think he can be permanently excused.
Thank you, sir. You may go. Ms.
May I
Wasman?
request a short break for the,
Sure. 5, 10 minutes?
just 5 minutes?
Okay, we're off the record at 2:15 and we'll come back to like say 2:20.
So he's working outside.
Oh, it's just coming there.
We'll go back on the record, it's 2:20. And Ms. Wasman, you can call it.
Thank you. I would call Brian Davis.
Is Brian Davis or Brian Davis?
Brian.
Brian.
Brian, B-R-I-A-N.
All right, sir. I need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir. You're a witness, Ms. Wasman.
Thank you.
Can I say?
Can you state your name for the commission?
Brian Keith Davis,
Where do you currently live?
704 Dakota Avenue.
Is that in Baker?
Yes,
How long have you lived in Baker?
20 years.
What is your occupation?
Master electrician, general manager,
For what company?
direct electric.
Are you married?
Yes,
What does your spouse do?
she's the head cook at the school.
Does direct electric require garbage service?
Yes,
What type of service do you need?
truck to haul away the large dumpster.
Do you know the size of the dumpster that you would need, that you need?
Not exactly, I would say 8 by 15 maybe is what, I don't know, I've never measured it.
And do you have a current garbage service provider?
Yes,
Who is that?
G&G,
How long have they been doing it?
as long as I can, well, since they took over from the Griffith boys.
Do you rent that container?
No, it's a privately owned container.
Is the garbage pickup scheduled as needed? Or
Yes,
how does the pickup get arranged?
I have the office manager call when the dumpster needs to be empty.
And who's the office manager?
Darcy O'Donnell,
How often do you need it picked up?
depends on our workload,
Is there an average?
every 3 weeks maybe.
Have you experienced problems with the service that G&G provides?
Yes,
What kinds of problems?
delays in emptying the dumpster.
Do you know what length of delays you've experienced?
I would ask Darcy to call and it would be 10 days to 2 weeks before the dumpster would be emptied. I started calling when the dumpster was half full, so I knew they'd be there when it was full.
How long, when did you first notice these problems?
When the dumpster never got emptied, I can't give you a specific date.
Would you say it's been shorter than a year or longer?
I'd say probably within, geez, I've had other things to worry about. I'd say, yeah, in the last year, maybe longer.
Were there ever times? I'll withdraw that question. What did you do when the dumpster was full?
We're taking the garbage out, waiting for it to get. After we had called to get it empty.
Have you ever had any problems with billing?
I don't know, that would be a Darcy O'Donnell question.
Nothing that she brought to your attention? Do you have any other complaints about their service?
No, they don't provide, I mean, just the garbage service is all they provide you, so that's all I can complain about.
Did you ever personally observe them picking up the container?
When they come to empty it, yes, I've seen them back in and hook onto it.
Do you have any, did you make any observations about the equipment that they use?
I just watched from out the window and go, hey, they're here to empty the dumpster.
In your experience, has G&G consistently met your needs for garbage service?
Eventually, I'll say that.
Has the service gotten better?
Since Fred started this, yes.
And by since Fred started this, you're meaning since he filed an application?
Yes, since Fred started this, it's I call and it's within 2 or 3 days that they pick it up instead of 10 days to 2 weeks.
Do you know Fred Varner?
Yes,
Are you familiar with any of equipment that he uses in his business?
yes.
Do you have any observations about the equipment that Fred uses?
He keeps really good care of it. I know my neighbor is one of his employees, and I know they're always cleaning trucks and cleaning tractors, and I've done a lot of work for Fred too, so.
Do you support Fred's application or Southeast Garbage's application, which is Fred, Barry, and Chad, for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to haul garbage?
Yes.
Would you consider using their business if their application is approved?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns with your current garbage service if that application is denied?
That it might go back to what it was.
I don't have any additional questions.
Thank you. Ms. Patmos, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you, Commissioner Finucci.
I feel like I've been taken to the principal's office.
Good afternoon, Brian. Would you prefer Brian or Mr. Davis? If
You
want
can
to-
call me
if
either
it's the
one.
principal, maybe Mr. Davis
No.
is too much.
As long as I'm not gonna get a swat, I'll be okay.
I think Commissioner Finucci would probably reprimand me for that. I need to make sure I understand the testimony that you gave today, okay? So you live in town in Baker
Yes,
and you have city garbage service.
I do have city garbage for my personal garbage,
Okay.
yes.
And then your place of work, Direct Electric, has a approximately 8 by 15 foot dumpster that you said is privately owned. Does that mean Direct Electric owns it?
No, Alan Barth owns the dumpster, but he owns the building that we are currently in. So he leaves the dumpster there for us to use.
Okay, so it's part of your lease?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
And how long has Direct Electric been in that building?
Since they bought it from Alan, so 10 years ago, I think.
So do they lease the building or own it? Sorry, just, or did they buy the business?
Direct Electric bought Alan Barth out. Alan still he owns the building and the dumpster.
Okay,
We
so
lease the building from him.
he owns the real estate and
Yes,
the
and
business.
we just own the business.
Okay, I understand now, thank you.
Mhm.
And that dumpster, does it have a lid or is
Yes,
it
it
an open
has,
top?
I think 5 plastic lids on it. 5 or 6.
And it's been in place since you've been working there?
Since Alan got that dumpster from the Griffith boys when they started their business, and I believe it's been there since then. So then when they sold to G&G, just swapped over to them when to haul the garbage. But the dumpster was still there, yes.
Okay, and it's been there for a long time. And the service has been a on-call service for that entire time, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, yes. I haven't been general manager since 2018, so all the other times I was just an employee, so I don't know anything before that.
How many employees does Direct Electric have?
Counting myself and my office manager, 11,
And how many do you supervise?
all of them.
Do you have trouble hiring?
I just can't hire anybody off the street. My employees have to be licensed with the state, so I can't just. So yes, I do have trouble hiring.
Licensed electricians?
Yes.
Okay. You have to have special certification with the state to become a licensed electrician, right?
Yes.
You can't just sign up off
No, I mean, I can get an apprentice, but I have to register him with the state as soon as he hires on, and then he has to work under a journeyman and on the job and go through his schooling. He has to be registered in the apprenticeship program so he can do the schoolwork that he has to do to get enough hours in his schoolwork to become a journeyman.
And how long have you been the GM?
Since 2018, July of 2018.
So almost 6 years then,
Yep.
quite a while. Have you ever had any problems with employees?
Oh, yes. And employees bring a lot of drama.
Okay, and does it sometimes take some time to deal with a problematic employee?
I mean, it takes time. It doesn't take months, but it takes a little bit of time, a week, 10 days. There's problems that you can handle right away, within 10 minutes, an hour.
And what kind of electrical work are you guys doing? Is it industrial work?
We do industrial, commercial, residential, power line, we do about everything.
And do you send employees out on job sites?
Yes,
And what territory do you cover?
depends on the calls.
What's the furthest you've gone out?
I've been to Broadus,
Broadus, okay.
worked in Broadus.
Do you stay in Montana or do you go into the Dakotas?
No, we go into North Dakota. I'm not licensed in South Dakota, but I am licensed in North Dakota.
Do you have other employees who are licensed in South Dakota?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So North Dakota and Montana.
North Dakota and Montana.
Do you go north up to Glendive?
We have, yes.
And is this your only office?
Yes, we had an office in Watford City, but it closed down in 2021, I think.
Okay.
2020, somewhere, right just before COVID.
Did you supervise the employees out of Watford City too? That was under separate.
That was under a separate.
Okay. Do you ever have an employee screw up a job?
Yes,
Okay. How do you find out about it?
they usually call me.
The
tell
employee
me
does?
that they messed up, or I'll get a call from a customer that says, hey, I don't like the way this is, can we fix it? So
Sometimes you hear from the customer, not the employee?
I hear from both.
But if an employee doesn't report it to you, have you gotten calls from customers about complaints?
No, I usually get calls from the inspector.
That's a layer that I don't deal with so often, so yes, so if an
We have a
inspector's
Montana
not-
State, electrical inspector and a North Dakota state inspector, that if the job is not up to the National Electrical Code, they'll write me up a fix-it notice, and then we go and fix it.
Okay. So you said that your office manager calls for pickups, correct? And I believe you said on average, maybe usually about every 3 weeks, but it varies, depending on what work you're doing in your shop here.
Just how much garbage is generated. I mean, there might be times when it takes longer to fill it up, and there might be times when it fills up within, a short amount of time.
When your employees are out on job sites, are they using the trash collection on that job site sometimes too?
No.
They bring all their trash back?
Mhm.
Okay, so all the trash comes into
It's
Baker?
a part of the answer, yes or no, verbally.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes. Or when I said, yes,
Clarify, all the refuse comes back with the employee to
most of
pick.
it, yes.
And you said you started having problems in the last year with it taking up to 2 weeks to empty the garbage. How often did that happen?
About every time we call to get the dumpster in.
Consistently for a year?
I can't truthfully say yes or no on that. It would be, when I would call, if I was in the office and I would have her call and I would notice that it was still not empty when I go to take garbage out the next morning, then I would have her call again. And so I can't say yes or no to your question.
Fair to say that garbage is something you only notice when it's a problem?
When I can't take it out, yes.
Sure, but you don't know if it was consistently a problem over the last year or if it was more sporadic.
I will say yes, it was probably a consistent problem for at least the last year.
Okay. Do you know who your driver was at that point?
For that truck, I don't know. I would just see the truck back in, because I'd hear it picking up the dumpster and I'd look out there. And I think I saw Corey out there once or twice, but I don't know if he was the only driver.
Is Corey Afta?
Yes,
And did you ever speak with Corey about the pickup problems?
no,
And so your only interaction was to tell your office manager or yourself call in for pickups?
yes.
Okay. When did services start to improve?
I would say probably 3 months ago.
So would that be about February?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you learn, or scratch up, how did you learn about the southeast garbage removal application?
Fred called me.
When was that?
I can't specifically answer that question.
Would it have been before services started to improve or after?
Before services improved.
And what was your conversation with Fred?
Fred called me, asked me if I was having trouble with my garbage removal, and I said yes. He says, I'm gonna start up a business. Would you be willing to sign on? And I said yes. And that was basically it.
Okay. And so you signed an affidavit in this matter, is that correct?
I believe I did, yes.
And the date I see on that is February 1st. Would you have talked to Fred before that?
Yes, he would have called me before then because we set up a day to come in and sign the affidavit.
And so did the affidavit get signed within days of your conversation?
I think
or-
it was the next day after the phone call.
Okay.
Fred's very prompt.
You mentioned that you've done work for Fred.
Yes, I have.
What work have you done for Fred?
I've done wiring at his business and his personal house.
And is his business F&D oil field maintenance?
Yes.
When you did that work, did you do a time and materials or did you provide a quote?
I believe everything we've done for Fred has been time and material.
Do you know Fred outside of having done work for him?
I've seen him around town. I mean, we're not best friends. We don't hang out together. But, you know, if you're uptown at the fair or at the bar, you see people and you talk to them.
Okay. Do you know Barry and Chad?
Yes.
How do you know them?
Fred's kids.
Okay. Are you friends with them?
Well, I've done work for him too. I've done work for Chad.
Okay. Also T&M work or quote work?
No, I did the stuff that I did for Chad.
Do you know if you got multiple bids?
I'm the only electrician in town. It's gonna be tough to get another.
Fair. Direct Electric is a for-profit company.
Yes,
Okay, so is cost important to Direct Electric?
yes.
Will that include cost of garbage removal?
It could, yes.
One further question, Mr. Davis, sorry. Other than the dumpster at your work, have you ever used G&G for any other services?
Not that I'm aware of, no. What other services do they provide?
Have you had a roll-off container at a job site?
Oh, no, not at a job site.
Okay, or have you
Usually the
taken a roll-off
contractors,
container
the
to your house?
contractors supply those.
I didn't get your question, you were, I'm sorry.
And have you had a roll-off container taken to your house for a cleanup?
Yes, years ago.
Okay.
But I don't remember who provided it.
Okay. Do you know of any haulers that would provide roll-offs in town other than G&G?
Back when I did that work, I tore down that garage, I think it was still the Griffith boys.
Okay. So same company, different ownership?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any issues with that service?
No.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you for your time.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go on to Commissioner,
Sorry.
Commissioner Bukacek, any questions?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions. So, Ms. Boswell, would you like to redirect?
No redirect, thank you,
Would you like to permanently excuse this witness or temporarily?
permanently, thank you.
Okay, sir, you're excused. Thank you. Ms. Wasserman, call your next witness.
I would like to check to see if anyone has called in. Nobody has. I would call CB Heiser.
Ms. Wassman, do you have any particular time for this?
Well, I was expecting one to call in at 2:20.
Okay.
And I checked when we were on break and I checked again and
Sir, I need you to raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Wasserman, your witness.
thank you. Could you state your name for the commission?
CB Heiser, or Clarence Heiser, Clarence B. Heiser Jr. Which one do you want? No,
What would you like to be called today?
CB,
Okay. Where do you currently live?
Baker.
How long have you lived in Baker?
All my life, except for probably about 8 months.
What is your current occupation?
D now, distribution center.
And what do you do for that company?
Branch manager, sales.
Does Distribution Now, your employer, require garbage service?
Yes,
What type of garbage service do they need?
it's a roll-off container.
Do you currently have a service provider?
Yes,
Who is that?
G&G,
How long have they been doing it?
as long as I've been there,
Do you know?
on and off for 5.5 years.
Who owns the container?
G&G,
How is pickup accomplished? Is it on schedule or as needed?
as needed.
How often do you need it?
Depends on the business.
Is there an average?
Well, I'd say every month and a half, 2 months. Sometimes sooner, depends on what we're doing.
How is that arranged?
Phone call,
Who makes that?
I do.
And how long between making the call and picking up the container to empty it, would you say? I'll rephrase that question. How much time between making the call to request service and receiving the service would you say passes?
Could be a week and a half, 2 weeks, could be 2 days.
And has that been the case for the 5.5 years?
I don't know, I've just been doing it for about 2 years myself,
Making that call.
making the call.
So for the past 2 years, that, would you say that has been the case? It can take anywhere from 2 days to a week and a half.
Yes,
And does that meet the needs of distribution now?
no, because we were cleaning house here a few months ago and it was like about every 3 days, so. I guess I'm a little on the phone at times and I need a dump by tomorrow. A lot of garbage.
Were they able to address your concerns?
Yes and no.
Could you explain that?
Well, it was full because there's somebody in there cleaning the warehouse and they told me that the dumpster is full and I called and we get to it next week and it's Wednesday, Thursday, and I'd say, no, I need it dumped today or tomorrow. So it might be tomorrow or the next day that they might show up, so.
And when you insisted, were they able to do it then within that day or today or tomorrow timeframe?
Today, or not today, maybe tomorrow or the next day, so.
And did they show up and take care of that within the timeframe that you requested then?
Yes, because I was adamant.
Can you tell me about making those calls to customer service? How did that work?
Voicemail most of the time.
Did they call you back?
Yes.
Have you ever had any problems with billing?
Every month.
And could you explain what the issues are?
Well, it's on auto pay, it's credit card, and get a bill and it might be 3 bills later and all of a sudden I get a statement and I got a call and I said it's on auto pay and the person on the other end goes, oh, let me check it out and I'll take care of it. So then it might go for 2-3 months, happen again, so.
So it was on auto pay, but it wasn't being
Well,
deducted?
they charge for the monthly for the dumpster. And then, so that's, say, $150 a month for the dumpster. And then per dumping fee. So it might be 3 months. I never see the bill because it doesn't come through, it's auto pay. I'll just see it on the credit card or the company will, I'll send you a report saying, do you authorize this? And I guess I don't watch it every month. I mean, it's so much going on. There's only 2 people working and
Have you ever observed G&G picking up the garbage?
yes,
And did you make any observations about the equipment that they use?
did you elaborate more?
I'm just asking about your general observations about their equipment, if you have any.
Just to roll off and put the dumpster back where you found it. And sometimes it's too far, because we gotta get around the dumpster. And there's sometimes I have to go move it or I don't have the equipment to move it sometimes, but just work around it.
And how about the truck that they show up in?
They drive in, they drive out. I mean, I don't go inspect it, so.
Do you have other options for garbage hauling that you know of?
No.
Since you've had these concerns, have you noticed that weather service has gotten better
Since what?
since any of your problems? and today? Have you noticed an improvement in service?
Probably the last 3 months, yeah. Seems it's gotten a little better because of what's going on.
And what do you mean by what's going on?
Well, somebody else is trying to start a garbage business.
So would you describe your experience with G&G, that they have been able to consistently meet your needs?
In the last 2-3 months, or since I've been doing this?
Since you've been doing this?
No.
Do you know Fred Varner?
Yes, I do.
Are you familiar with his company and operations somewhat?
I know Fred, most of my life. He's lived here, I've lived here, yeah. I think he runs a very efficient operation.
Have you ever been able to observe Fred's trucks or equipment?
Like new, immaculate, well maintained.
Do you support Southeast Garbage's application for a certificate to haul garbage?
Yes, I do.
And if that application is granted, would you consider using his business to haul garbage?
Yes, I would.
And do you have any concerns with your current service if their application is denied?
Possibly.
I don't have any additional questions.
Thank you. Ms. Pax, you may proceed with cross-examination of this witness.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Good afternoon, Mr. Heiser.
Oh.
So I believe you said you live in Baker, so does the city provide services for your residential garbage hauling?
Yes.
And can you explain to me what DNOW's business is?
Oil field parts and supplies.
And I'm not familiar with the oil field business very much, so what does that mean? What does a typical day look like for an employee of DNOW?
A lot of supplies that go out, a lot of supplies coming in. Some days we get probably 12 pallets of supplies, and a lot of that stuff, paper, garbage, pallets, all goes in the dumpster when we're done. Or we send back the pallets that we don't need. UPS, a lot of boxes.
And so when you're saying goes into the dumpster, you mean the packaging for the oil field supplies that you're receiving? Is that
Yes.
fair? Okay. And when you say it goes out, do you service oil field equipment in the field?
We sell the parts to service companies, Denbury, Continental, Bluff Petroleum, all the oil companies in the area.
Okay. And does DNOW have employees that go into the field, or is it centralized at your facility here?
We make deliveries,
Okay. How far out do you make deliveries?
100 miles,
Do you go into the Dakotas?
North Dakota, South Dakota.
And do you have other office locations, or is it just here?
There's one in Dickinson, Sydney, Williston, Watford City.
Okay. And are all the offices run basically in the same manner?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know, I mean,
And so this is me being uninformed in the oil field business, but is it basically something equivalent to like a Napa for a oil field supply?
Napa as in the car parts store?
Yeah,
Yes.
similar kind
Many
of
oil
model.
field supplies, yes, you come down.
Okay, great. And how many employees work for DNOW?
There's 2 in our branch right now,
Okay, and how many in the company in total? Okay,
thousands.
and what is your job title?
Branch manager.
And what's the title for the other person that works here locally?
She was hired as a sales rep, delivery, but pretty much just does nothing but admin.
Okay. And to your knowledge, is it similar staffing for the other offices?
Yep.
And do you have any knowledge of what kind of garbage services any of the other offices use?
We don't talk about it, no.
And I believe you said that you've been with D now for 5.5 years, but you've only been calling for garbage pickups for 2 years, is that
Yeah.
accurate? Did your job duties change or
Yeah,
did?
the branch manager quit or retired. And they asked me to take over.
Okay,
So,
and were you a sales?
Sales rep.
role? Okay. And then you said, you can average, well, let me back up. You said you have a roll-off container that belongs to G&G,
yes,
and is that just behind your building?
that's about halfway back. I'll get, rolled up on next to the building.
And, do you know the size of it?
20 foot by 8 foot, something like that.
Does it have lids,
No lid, just
just open top?
over top, about 4 feet tall.
And do you use that for all of your, waste?
All.
Just
Just garbage, paper,
Yeah. Everything that you're getting rid of out of your,
no metal, no oil stuff, no hazardous.
okay. And you said that you average between 1.5 months and 2 months between a pickup?
I would guess.
And then you said that you were cleaning out the warehouse and you needed a day or two turnaround. Were you cleaning out supplies? What was going on?
They came in and just cleaned a bunch of stuff out,
And they be,
corporate.
okay. And so, this was a pretty big uptick from your
Yes.
usual?
Yes.
Okay,
I think they dumped the dumpster at least 3 times in a week and a half, or 4 times.
and when was this?
2 months ago,
Okay, so
2.5 months ago,
what are we, we're in May, that would have been March,
February, March, something like that.
February, March, okay. And did you request a second roll-off or any additional containers?
No,
Why not?
just we fill, because we never filled it up that often. And they come in and they said, we need to call. Well, I went to lunch and he called and he had the other lady call and they says, well, it's gonna be a few days. So I call and it's like, no, I need it dumped today or tomorrow,
Okay. And so you said that, backing up to when we're outside, this was like a week long? So
Yeah, about
a
10
week-long
days,
cleanup?
about
Okay,
10 days.
and they dumped, you said 3 times in a week, so was it 3 times total, or did they dump more?
It was 3 or 4 times, I don't remember. I mean, I just know it seemed like they brought it in and the next day it was full again. So I'd call again.
But this is a pretty massive change from your usual, rate of filling up the dumpster, is that
Right.
fair? Okay, so going back to normal times, when you're not at this big clean out, you said that, it could take 2 days or up to 2 weeks to have a response to a pickup call?
Well, I remember one time I called on a Wednesday and they said it'll probably be at least Wednesday next week before we get there.
Okay, and when was that?
Last fall,
Okay, and so you called on a Wednesday and they said it would take a week?
at least, yeah,
Okay. And is a week a typical turnaround?
No.
Okay, what's a typical turnaround?
I would expect the next day. Normally, I mean,
Okay, so your expectation is that you would be able to get service the next day?
yeah.
Said you pay $150 a month plus a tipping fee for your container, is that
Yes.
correct? Are those reasonable fees?
Pardon me?
Are those reasonable fees?
I don't know.
Have you ever called to get a quote from anyone else?
I didn't know there was anybody else in the area.
And you also mentioned that sometimes the dumpster wasn't put exactly where you wanted it. Did you ever talk to the driver about that?
No, because if he drops it off and I'm at lunch, they just put it where they,
Did you ever call G&G about that?
because I figured they'd charge me for moving it, so I just left.
Okay, but you never made any calls?
No.
Okay. How long has the billing been on auto pay?
Since I've been there.
For 2 years?
I know it was on auto pay before I got there, so.
Okay. And then you testified, I believe, that sometimes you get an invoice?
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe 3 months for my boss in Casper will send me a statement saying, you need to pay this. And it's like 3 months old. It's like, so I call G&G and
and is it that they haven't run it through auto pay? Is that,
I don't know their billing cycle.
okay, do you know if it's been paid or if the
It
invoice?
must have been because when I called, it happened like twice that I remember.
Okay, so twice in 2 years that you've been running this. You said service has improved this year?
Well, since somebody applied for a garbage bin, I mean, I can call, they'll pick it up the next day.
Okay. And when did that start improving?
When that other person looking to become a garbage vendor or a service provider.
You signed a document called an affidavit in this case, is that correct?
Yep.
And your signature date's February 1st of 2024. Is that when service started to improve?
I don't remember. I mean, it was like, I wasn't happy, but it's like if you go to the post office, you're not happy, you're not gonna go to the next post office because that's where your mail's at.
Sure, but did service improve after after you signed this affidavit?
Yeah,
Okay. So in early February.
March.
Does DNOW run as a for-profit company?
Yes.
Are the costs that it has to pay out important to DNOW?
I don't discuss that with them.
Would you be in charge of choosing who a service provider would be for garbage?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, would it depend on the cost?
To me, it would be
No.
because it reflects on my store.
Would DNOW's choice of a service provider just be based on your choice or based on cost?
They would probably ask both ways.
So they would care about both?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll move to commissioner questions. So Commissioner Buchner, any questions?
No question, sir.
And I have no questions. Do we have any redirect? Ms. Walton,
No redirect, thank you.
would you like to permanently excuse this witness or temporary?
Permanently is fine.
Okay, sir, you may leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may call your next witness.
Like, check.
Nobody
No
yet.
one's on the line. Okay, I would call Debbie Zinda.
Hello, Debbie. I need you to raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Ms. Walton.
Thank you. Okay. Could you state your name for the commission?
Debbie Zinda.
And where do you live currently? How long have you lived in Vivo? What is your current occupation?
Clerk treasurer, town of
How long have you been in that occupation?
11 years.
Is that full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Are you married?
No.
Does the town of Webo provide a garbage service?
Yes, we do.
And is that a residential door-to-door picking up containers for the town? And what do you do with the garbage that you pick up?
We take it out to our dump grounds to where we have a container that, well, there's a building, they put it in, push it into the container.
Okay. And what do you call that container site?
We go dump grounds.
Okay. Then what occurs with the container that's at the dump grounds?
Well, once the container is starting to get full, they call G&G to come pick it up.
And do you have a contract with G&G to pick up that container? And how long have you used G&G for that work?
They were using them when I started there, so.
Okay. And who calls to schedule that pickup?
The public works director.
How often do you require the container to be emptied?
A lot of, I mean, most of the time we can go 2 weeks before it needs picked up.
How many containers are at that dump grounds?
I believe just the one that we have, the county has some.
And how far out of town is the dump grounds?
Probably about a mile
In which direction?
northeast.
Who owns the container?
I'm not sure.
Is anyone else authorized to dump garbage in the town's container out there? Okay, so residents of the city can't just go out and use it?
No,
Okay.
they use the county one, which the county charges.
Okay. And so, has the town ever had any issues with the garbage service in the last several years?
There's been a few times since I have been there, yes.
Can you tell me about those times?
The containers have been full and they've called for someone, and truck driver, and we couldn't do garbage for a week there because we had nowhere to put it. The truck was full. That happened a few times.
A few times in what kind of time period?
It's probably 6 months there, but it was kind of bad.
Do you have any idea as to which 6 months were the worst?
Remember the time frame.
Okay. Do you know whether it was in 2023 or?
It was probably 22, 23 in that area.
Okay. So what happened when the container was full and what did the town do?
We couldn't do anything and they tried calling us. We couldn't pick up garbage or anything at the residence and or the businesses until they were emptied. Because they were full.
Did the town residents complain?
Oh, yeah. My phone right now.
You received those complaints?
Yes.
Did you have any other problems with their service?
For a while there, the billing was bad.
What was the problem?
Well, to start with, we weren't getting billed for 3-4 months, and then we'd get a bill and then service charges on there. So then I just started paying it monthly by going by Coral Creek's bill, where they take our dumpster and dump it. And Coral Creek would send us a bill monthly, so I'd see how many times it's dropped off there, and then that's what I would pay.
So what charges were you paying G&G? What did you pay G&G for?
To come pick the container up and take it to Coral Creek.
So there wasn't a monthly rental fee or anything for the container because you think it's yours? So it was just the pickup
The 3, yeah.
fee. I'm not familiar with all of this, so if you could just explain, you mentioned that Coral Creek sends a bill, so you would get billed from G&G taking your garbage to Coral Creek, and Coral Creek was tracking that and sending you a bill.
For the disposal of the garbage that G had taken.
And so based on that, then you try to pay
We
G&G.
paid them for what they charge us per trip.
Did you call G&G over the
Tried.
billing?
I tried.
And explain to me how you tried and what your result
I
was.
would, if someone did answer the phone, I would get sent to someone else, but they wouldn't be there, so I would have to leave a message. And most of the time, didn't get a message back.
And were there occasions where you didn't reach anyone?
Yes,
And were you able to leave a message on those occasions?
yes.
Have you ever been billed for services that you did not receive?
I don't think so. Other than the service charge, and I found on that message and it's taken off.
Did you ever speak to somebody about that service charge? Or just based on your message that you left?
One time I did.
Okay.
And they said they would remove it and then next month it's on.
Has G&G been able to meet the town of those needs in terms of garbage service? Is there a period of time where you noticed an improvement in the service?
Yeah, last month or so.
Is there a time that they have picked up the container without being requested?
That I really can't answer it because it's public works guys that call. Sure.
Did you sign an affidavit in support of Red Barn and Southeast garbage application. And can you just explain in your own words why you support that application?
Well, I was having problems with billing and I knew the guys were having problems because our public works director that's no longer with us right now was complaining all the time because he couldn't go to garbage because the container wasn't picked up that he had requested.
I'm gonna object on hearsay testimony basis, which is not going to the content of what the public works director is here stating, and he's not here to testify at this moment, at least.
Ms. Wilson?
Yeah, I would concur that just I can ask the witness to not testify about what somebody else said.
If you'd like to brief.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sure.
Can we just let her answer stand and disregard the part about what, or should I ask the question?
If we strike from where she goes to what the public works director said, I'm fine.
That sounds great.
All right.
Do you have any concerns about your current service that WeBo receives if Southeast Garbage application is denied? Do you have any concerns about your current service going forward?
Yes.
No further questions.
Ms. Pappas, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernardi. Afternoon, Zinda. You're the clerk and the treasurer for the town of Lebo, correct?
Yes,
How long have you held that position?
11 years.
11?
11, yes.
And to make sure I understand the service, what G&G is hauling is a container that owned by the town?
Apparently, I'm not positive on it if we do or don't, but apparently we must because we're not billed for a container.
And what's going into the container is the refuse from the town's garbage pickup within the town?
Yes,
So the town provides service within the town.
yes,
G&G doesn't provide service within the town. Okay. And is that residential and commercial garbage?
yes,
And if I'm understanding correctly, is it fair to say that your role is in association with the billing and the public works director's role is in relation to running the site and making calls?
yes,
Okay, so you don't make calls for pickup.
not for pickup, no.
Okay. And so your testimony today goes to what you have knowledge of, which is billing.
Yes,
Do you know if the town has ever put out a bid for services?
not since we've had,
So not in 11 years, at least. And nobody goes into the town's dump grounds other than the town's trucks, correct?
the town trucks, we have a building out there. Trash compactor or whatever, but we have a building out there that they unload the garbage, dump it into there. That building gets locked up at night. And then the county has dumpsters over a little ways away from the building.
But public disposal is at the county site, not at
It's
the
on the
town site.
county site, yes.
Okay. And does the town keep the dump ground manned, or is this a unlock it when you come in on the driver's part?
They unlock it as they come in.
And the town only has the one container, and so that
As far as I
container,
know.
is that container, to your knowledge, hauled to Coral Creek and then brought back?
I think they bring one and leave and then take that other one.
Okay. So the town isn't left without a garbage
Right.
container, to your knowledge?
Right.
And to clarify some testimony, you're paying G&G for the hauling services, you're paying for the volume of disposal to Coral Creek directly, correct? So this is a broken out service.
Yes,
It's only the transport of the container that G&G is billing for.
yes.
So you stated that service with G&G has been bad for 6 months. Are we talking about billing services bad for 6 months?
Yes,
Okay,
well, yes.
that's what you have knowledge of. The billing services, okay. And so you stated that sometimes you go for a gap without getting a bill and that there are service charges on there. Is a service charge like an interest fee or what is a service
I
charge?
don't know, it just says service charges.
Okay,
So I called to ask about it.
and they've
First-
removed that fee
The
when you,
first time they removed it, the second time no one answered the phone and left a message and it wasn't on the next one.
It wasn't on the next one?
No,
so that service charge disappeared from the next bill, you didn't pay it? Okay, so to your knowledge, it was removed when you requested?
yes,
Okay, so you've had 2 instances of the service charge. And then issues with the billing not coming in timely. And that's only in the last 6 months?
well, not coming in timely, I mean, the last 6 months is when we started just going off Coral Creeks and then sending.
And did you say you have a contract with G&G?
I believe there is, I don't know,
You've not reviewed one,
no,
okay.
because it
So you
was
don't
all in place when I started.
You don't know any terms of service that they agreed to? Or whether they're in violation of any terms of service that they agreed to? Have you had issues with billing this year in 2024?
I did,
What was your issue in 2024?
not getting them, and then the service charges were on that.
Any other issues? How did you learn about Southeast Garbage's application?
I was told
By whom?
they attended the meeting,
They being the Varners?
yes,
Okay, like a city council meeting?
yes,
Do you attend city council meetings?
I'm taking minutes.
Do you get stuff writing? Do you know when the Varners came to that meeting?
Did what?
Do you know when the Varners came to that meeting?
I do not recall the date. Yes, I could look it up.
And you stated that G&G's services have improved. Have they improved since the Varners attended that meeting?
Yes,
And the city's minutes would indicate when that meeting was.
yes,
Does the city publish its minutes on the website?
we don't have a website.
Can somebody request a copy of the city's minutes?
They are welcome to.
Is that pretty much a request to you?
Or-
Do you basically run the show on keeping the minutes?
Yes.
Okay,
We don't get any requests for it. We don't get anybody at the meetings.
Go through.
thank you for your time, nothing further.
All right, we'll go to commissioner questions. Commissioner Bukacek, any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Ms. Wasman, would you like to redirect?
No redirect, thank you.
Would you like to permanently excuse this witness or temporarily?
I think she can be permanently excused.
Okay, you may go. Thank you. Ms. Wasman, you can call your next witness.
Just check. I would call John Birch.
After this witness. Would everybody like a break now or after this witness?
We're at home. in the next hour and 20 minutes.
After the witness? Okay. Sir, I need you to stand and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Wiseman, your witness.
Thank you. Can you state your name for the commission?
John Birch,
Could you spell your last name?
BERTSCH.
Where do you currently live?
I live in town in Baker, Montana,
How long have you lived in?
my entire life, 40 years.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a construction foreman for Denbury.
Do you have any other occupations?
Yes, I have a small campground that I own south of Baker. And I have a little water line business, construction business.
Do you have a need for garbage service other than the city of Baker?
Yes,
What,
out of my little RV campground up south of Baker.
and what type of service do you need there?
I just have one of the large dumpsters that the truck picks up for just daily garbage for the campers.
Similar to what the large black garbage can
Yeah,
that the
I
city
think
has?
they're like what, 300 gallon, or I don't know how big they are, but yeah. Same as the city.
And do you currently have a garbage service provider that picks that up?
Yes, G.
How long have they been doing that?
Since I started it in 2013.
Who owns that container?
I
Is your service, a scheduled regular pickup time?
Yeah, it is. They pick it up weekly.
And is it a set day of the week?
It is typically, it used to be Wednesdays, but it kind of has been sporadic. They've had various employees out there, I guess, in various days. They've been coming to pick it up.
Have you had any problems with the garbage service?
There's two things, I guess, that I have issues with. The one is billing, inconsistent billing. We've asked now to go to monthly. Previously, we were getting it like quarterly. And just today, we received a bill, which we do over email now. And the bill is got 2 previous months on there, or so February and March. And both those bills have been paid, but I'm being said that they aren't paid. So, and that happens a lot. And it's very difficult it's emails back and forth trying to get it rectified. So that's one of my main complaints. The other main complaint that I have is the equipment that G&G has is less than desirable, I guess is the word. One of the employees well, I saw him crawl in and out of a dumpster because he couldn't reach the bottom, and he was told to pick up the garbage, and he was thrown in a dump trailer, which number one, I thought was unsafe, and number two, unsanitary for someone to crawl in a dumpster to get the garbage out because the truck was broke down apparently. And then on another occasion, I found him broke down beside the road with the truck, and I stopped and asked him if he was all right, and he was fine. It was February. Thank God it wasn't cold that day, but he'd been sitting there for 45 minutes, and I did jump start his truck for him and got him going.
Have they ever missed service?
Yeah, we've had times where they've called us and told us they were unable to make it. And we weren't full, so it was acceptable. My mother is next door to me out there, and she also has a dumpster. And she pays the $5 fee to have the lid or have the dumpster maintained. And the lid's been tore off for 6 months, and my brother finally went and fixed it. So I don't know if that's part of the maintenance or not, but I assumed it would be.
Do you know Fred Berner?
Yep.
How is it that you know him?
He's been an acquaintance for years, and he also has a construction business that he works for Denbury. So we know him through work.
Have you had an opportunity to observe Fred's equipment?
Yes.
Do you have any observations about Fred's equipment?
It's well maintained, and if there's something wrong, it's repaired or fixed instantly or immediately, or taken out of service until it is fixed.
Do you support Southeast Garbage's application for a certificate of simple garbage?
I do.
And if that application would be approved, would you consider using their business to haul your garbage?
I would. Yes.
Do you have any concerns about the service that you receive from your current provider if Southeast's garbage application is denied?
I'm just concerned that I'm concerned about the billing aspect. I believe if you would take a good look at that whole situation, that people have overpaid because they're being sent bills that they previously paid. And so I think if you took a good long look at that, you'd find out that there's a lot of discrepancies in that. I guess it would be unfair.
This is hearsay.
It would be unfair to have that occur.
Can you speak to that?
Oh, sure. I just moved to strike that testimony as hearsay because we don't have any witnesses that have been here to testify that they have overpaid.
There's absolutely no hearsay in what he just testified to. His concerns are his opinion, and I believe he's allowed to give his opinion.
Overruled.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kaplan,
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard.
you can proceed with cross examination.
Good afternoon, Mr. Birch. You stated you have 3 different jobs going. You're a busy guy. We talked about your campground south of Baker, correct?
Yes.
How many sites is that? How many sites are at your campground?
Camping sites,
Sure.
4.
4 sites. And do you provide water and
I do.
sewer hookup or septic?
Yes.
Okay. And you provide trash removal for your
Yes.
campers?
Yeah.
And do you typically have people staying short periods or is it longer term campers?
Longer term. Yeah, they stay a lot of times up to 6 months at a time.
Okay. And so are these people that are working here locally then?
Yeah, they're usually workers that are coming through doing jobs that are local here.
Temporary jobs here?
Yeah, temporary. Yep.
And you have 1 400-gallon
I do.
tub there?
Yep.
And that's sufficient for, do you also live there?
I don't.
Okay,
No.
so the 400-gallon tote is solely for your campers,
Yes.
and that's sufficient for their needs?
Yes.
Do they typically fill that in a week?
If I have 4 in there, they can, yeah, but most of the time I don't have 4, and so it's not usually full.
Okay. And your mom lives on property next door and also has garbage service from G&G?
Correct,
And you live in town here?
correct,
So do you have garbage service from the town of Baker?
yes.
Because G&G doesn't operate in town for garbage service, do they?
I've seen in the past that they've hauled garbage for the city. It's been several years ago. I think they must have been helping them when their truck was broke down.
Oh, sure. But you've never, G&G doesn't haul residential garbage within the city typically?
Typically not.
Okay. You stated that, or backing up, have you ever used any other services from G&G? Have you had a roll off at any of your properties?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, you ever deal with construction debris?
Yep,
Do you deal with it for yourself or for one of your employers?
I've dealt with it for myself and for the employers.
Okay, and have you hired G&G for that or
The
yourself?
employers have hired them before, hired G&G, but
Okay.
just for myself, I haven't.
Okay. And so you also have a water line construction business. Do you run that out of your house or do you have a shop?
Yep, it's out of my home.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so you don't have a separate garbage service for that,
No,
correct? And then you're also a construction foreman for Denbury, correct?
that's correct.
And does Denbury have a local office that you work out of?
Yes,
Okay, where's that?
it's north of Baker here on Shell Oil Road.
Okay, and do they have garbage service?
They do.
And is that from G&G as well?
It is.
Do you know how much you pay for your garbage service at your campground?
It's, I believe, $82.50. Is it a quarter? That's what it is.
And your garbage service in town that you utilize, is that billed to you too, or is that on your tax bill?
No, it's billed to me monthly.
Okay, do you know what the town charges per month?
I don't know the exact number, no, not off the top of my head.
Do you know if you pay more or less for your?
It's less in town than it is out there. It's kind of water, sewer, garbage, it all encompasses one bill.
It's all bundled together? And you said that regarding the billing, that you've had to exchange emails with G&G to correct billing when you wanted to switch from quarterly to monthly billing?
So we've had to talk to G&G or email back and forth because the billing was incorrect. And we specifically asked to go to monthly service. And we, just like I said earlier, today we received a bill for the previous 3 months and they're already paid.
Okay. And when you've called G&G and told them that the billing was incorrect, have they corrected it?
Yes, they do work with you. It's an inconvenience of your time to consistently have to go back and double check it every time we get a bill now, and we don't trust that it's gonna be accurate.
Sure. And you mentioned you also take issue with G&G's equipment because you've mentioned an employee had to get into a dumpster and throw garbage into a dump trailer. When was that?
I don't know the exact date. It was within the last year. But I will tell you, yeah, I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay. Do you know who that driver was?
I do.
Who was that?
Corey Ifta.
Okay. And could that have been in January of this year?
Possible it was, yeah.
Did you see that once or more than once?
I seen him more than once.
Twice?
Yeah,
More than twice?
probably twice.
Okay. And you, since that time, have you seen him
No,
do that? Okay.
No.
Do you have the same driver now?
I have not seen the new driver. I know Corey is not working for you guys or for G&G,
How do you know that?
just the rumor around the street,
Okay.
so.
And then you also said Corey, or an employee was broke down in February. Was that also Corey?
It was,
So was that in February of this year or
yes, it was.
February of this year?
Yep.
Okay. And you jumped that vehicle then?
Yep, I jump started his truck.
You also mentioned that your brother had fixed the torn off lid on your mom's container. Did you call G&G to ask them to fix it or replace it?
They did, yes, I did not. And they just discussed with the driver on numerous occasions that it was broke.
You mentioned that you know Fred Varner. Do you know Chad?
I do.
How do you know Chad?
Went to school with him. He also works out at, for his dad out at Denbury.
And do you know Barry
I do.
in the same manner or different manner?
Went to school with him and also worked with him out here.
What do they do for Denbury?
They're pipeline construction. So they install, injection lines, flow lines. They do roustabout work. Basically any oil field, construction / maintenance work that is needed, they'll do it.
And would they be a subcontractor for Denbury when they're working out there, or how does that work?
Yeah, they're a subcontract. I guess they're hired. They're a independent contractor that we hire.
Okay.
Or that Denbury hires.
So Denbury has a project, contract for a project or some kind of project going on, and they hire folks to come in and do various things, I'm guessing, on the
So
project?
I guess I just want to make it clear, I can't speak for Denbury, just so you understand that.
Mhm.
That I can't speak for them. But the way it works is they acquire a master service agreement.
Mhm.
That allows them to perform T&M work, or it allows them to bid on jobs that are above a certain dollar figure.
Okay.
And so, yes, that's how they conduct their business with Denbury.
Okay, and when you're hiring or bringing independent contractors out on those jobs, are they bidding those jobs or working on T&M, or can it be either?
It can be either.
Okay. How did you learn about Southeast Garbage's application for a garbage hauling permit?
Through F&D, through Fred and Chad and Barry.
Okay, and what did they say to you?
They just brought it to my attention that they were gonna try to acquire a permit to provide garbage service locally. And that was a short and sweet of it.
Okay, and did they ask you to sign a document for them?
They said there was affidavits available if we had complaints that we could sign.
Okay, so you learned of their application and then you decided to make a complaint.
Yes, but I've already made previous complaints prior to that occur.
And your campground, do you operate that to make money?
Yes,
Is the cost of garbage service important to you?
it is.
You were asked if you would use Southeast Garbage Removal if they were given a permit. Would that depend on the price?
Yeah, it would depend on the price. That's a conversation that I've had with Fred.
Okay. What conversation have you had?
Just discussing the prices of if it would be less or more than I currently pay.
Okay. The less costs you have, the more you make off your campers, right?
That's correct.
And you mentioned that you think people overpaid, but you don't have any evidence as we sit here today that anyone
No,
is
I
overpaid.
implied that it would be easy for someone to overpay.
Okay.
Because of the billing that's incorrect.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to commission questions. Commissioner Vukovic, do you have any questions?
No questions.
And I don't have any questions. Oh, you have it.
Just recently, Ms. Pappas asked you, about a complaint. And you
Yep.
mentioned you filed a complaint on the affidavit, I believe. Is that
Yes,
correct? And you said you previously made a complaint.
yes,
Those previous complaints filed with the Montana Public Service Commission or
No.
to the company?
just with the driver that was picking up the garbage at the time.
No further questions.
And based on questions from us, I guess you get a recross examination.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Ms. Pappas.
When you said you'd made previous complaints with the driver, was that Corey Efta
No,
with the new driver?
no, Gary Ergens.
Okay, and do you know when Gary worked for G&G?
Yeah, it was about a year ago, I suppose.
And what complaint did you make at that time?
It was just the
Can I still
lid
ask for-
that was damaged on my mother's garbage container. The lid being tore off, not being repaired.
And do you know whether Mr. Ergens relayed that to anyone?
I don't.
Thank
I
you.
assumed if he worked for G&G that he would pass that on.
Ms. Wasserman, do you have any redirect?
No, thank you.
Would you like to permanently excuse this witness or?
Permanently is fine, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's, you guys want 5 or 10 minutes?
Whatever everybody needs.
Probably 7.
Yeah.
We'll go off the record. Oh, let's make it 10 just so it's easier. Make it 4 o'clock. next witness.
Can I ask if there's anyone on the phone? Okay.
There's not.
I would call Stephen Hurley.
Thank you for coming, Stephen. I need you to raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Your witness.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the commission?
Stephen Hurley,
Where do you live?
Baker.
How long have you lived in Baker?
42 years, 41 years.
What is your current occupation?
Automotive repair,
What is the name of that business?
Hurley's Automotive LLC.
And are you the owner?
Yes.
How long have you had that company?
2017.
2017.
Do you require garbage service for your business?
Yes.
And what type of service do you need out there?
2 of those black garbage dumpsters.
And do you mean the household ones that we see in Baker and Alley? And you have 2 of those?
Yes.
Do you have a current garbage provider?
Yes.
And who is that?
G&G,
How long have you had their services?
7 years.
Who owns your containers?
I believe they do.
What are your demands and needs and expectations of a garbage service provider?
Show up at least once a week.
Is your garbage collected on a schedule?
It varies.
So what does it, when is it picked up?
Last week was Wednesday.
Is it typically on Wednesdays?
Normally,
Is it sometimes other days?
yes.
Have you experienced any problems with the service?
Over the winter, there was a pretty good struggle.
And what was that struggle?
I didn't have garbage service for 4 weeks.
Were there any other problems prior to that?
Before that, it was just spotty service from week to week.
Did you ever call G&G to report your concerns?
I've called
Why did you call?
to report the problems. Nobody ever answered the phone.
Did you leave a message?
Yes.
Did anyone call you back? How many times would you say that you called?
3 or 4. I just gave up.
Have you ever had any problems with billing?
Yes.
What were some of those problems?
Either wouldn't get a bill or get one that had 2 or 3 bills on it.
And those times when you got one that had 2 to 3 bills on it, had you previously paid that bill or?
Yes.
Have you ever been billed for services that you did not receive? Do you have any other complaints about their service? Have you ever seen them emptying your garbage containers?
Every once in a while.
Did you make any observations about the equipment that they used?
No, last year they had a newer truck.
They had a what truck?
Newer,
On our truck.
that's never showed back up, but it's what I have now, so kind of fairly old and used.
Has the service that you've received improved over the last little while?
Yes.
Since when?
So probably end of March.
Has G&G consistently been able to meet your needs for garbage service?
So far,
Do you know Fred Varner?
yes.
How do you know him?
How don't you know Fred? I mean,
Or
went to school with his kids.
so just in the community? Have you ever had an occasion to observe any of Fred's equipment or vehicles? What were your observations about Fred's equipment?
Keep it clean. Up to date.
Do you support Southeast Garbage application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to haul garbage?
Yes.
And if his application is approved, would you consider using his business for your services?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns with your current service that you receive if Southeast application is denied?
Kind of.
And what are your concerns?
My concerns are is there gonna be any retaliation. Not taking garbage. Just inspect.
Do you have any concerns about the quality of service if Fred's application is denied? Okay. No further questions.
Tavis, may continue with your cross-examination of this witness.
Thank you, Commissioner Fucci. Good afternoon, Mr. Hurley. You live in the town of Baker?
Yes.
And do you have residential service from the town of Baker?
Yes.
And I think you said you've had Hurley's Automotive since 2013? Is that correct? 17, excuse me. And do you do cars and trucks, heavy equipment? What do you work on there?
All of it.
Yeah. And do you typically fill both of your 400-gallon tubs weekly?
Yes.
And do you know how much you pay for those tubs? You said it was a struggle in the winter. Does that mean with garbage service from G&G? Do you mean this past winter? And you had no service for about 4 weeks, correct? When was that? Do you recall what month?
Must have been February.
January, February? So
February.
in February? Okay. Did you call G&G about not having service for 4 weeks?
No, I've talked to the driver
Okay, who was the driver then?
for it.
And what did Corey tell you?
So the truck was broke.
Okay. And was Corey typically the person that would pick up your garbage?
Yes.
Okay, and so he didn't pick it up for 4 weeks because the truck was broke, correct?
He did show up 1 week with a pickup and flatbed trailer.
And did he pick up the trash that week with the pickup?
He went dumpster diving and picked up what wouldn't fly out of the trailer.
Okay. And since that time, have you had issues with service?
That's insane.
Do you still have Mr. F to pick up your garbage? Different person now? Any issues with this person?
So far, the only issue I had was he didn't quite get the dumpster over the truck and I had garbage all over my property.
Did he pick it up? No. Did you call G?
No.
Or did you tell him?
No.
Do you think you realized he did it?
Probably not.
You mentioned that prior to this winter, there was spotty service. What does that mean?
Go for 1 month to be great, next month to be every other week, maybe.
And when did you experience spotty service?
Couple years ago.
Okay, so you started in 2017. Would it have been in 2017 or after that?
Or been 2021.
21? Okay. So you had some issues in 2021 with some missed pickups? And did you call G&G to report those missed pickups?
I handle it myself.
And by handle it yourself, do you mean self-haul?
Yes.
Okay. And after 2021, and you had the spotty service, did you have any other issues until this past winter when you didn't get picked up for 4 weeks?
Not really.
Then with billing, you said that you had an issue where you would sometimes not get a bill or sometimes get one with multiple months on it?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And how often did that occur?
2-3 times a year.
Every year since you've had the business?
Last year I haven't seen one for a while, so.
Are you billed monthly or quarterly? So you haven't seen one for a while. This year wouldn't be that odd since you're only getting billed quarterly, correct?
Is that a yes?
You stated that the services had improved since the end of March. Did you have issues in March with service? And we talked about the issues, you said that were in February when Corey told you the truck was broken, he didn't haul or hauled with the.
You did what?
Excuse me, he didn't haul or he hauled with the trailer, correct?
Is that a yes?
Okay. You said you were concerned with retaliation. You signed a document in this case, correct, for the Varners? Do you recall that?
That affidavit,
Excuse me?
that affidavit I filled out for him.
Yes. Have you had any negative experiences since you filled that out? And the affidavit says you filled it out on February 1st, so would your issues have been prior to February 1st?
Okay.
Okay. So is it possible?
January.
Okay, so is it possible that when you had the conversation with Corey, it might have been January? Have you worked with the Varners?
No.
Have you done work for the Varners?
Very little.
What work have you done for the Varners?
They did take care of their own stuff.
You said that you would use Southeast Garbage if their application was granted. Does that depend on what price they would be able to offer services at? Pay anything for them? Have you ever used any other services from G&G, like a roll-off container for C&D waste? Nothing further, thank you.
All right, we'll go to commission questions. Commissioner Vukacek, any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Ms. Wasman, would you like to redirect?
No redirect. Thank
Would you
you.
like to temporarily excuse or permanently excuse us?
Permanent is fine, thank you.
Sure, you may go. Thank you. Ms. Wasman, you can call your next witness.
I would call Jason Bechtold.
Thank you for coming, sir. I need you to raise your right hand. Or to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Wasman, you're a witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Could you state your name for the commission?
Jason John Bechtold,
How do you spell your last name?
Bechtold,
Where do you live currently?
about 12 miles south of Baker.
How long have you lived there?
Pretty much my whole life.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a foreman for Scout Energy.
Does Scout Energy require garbage services?
Yes, I do.
And what type of service do you need?
I think they call it a 20-yard container. Large.
What are your needs and expectations of a garbage service provider?
Oh, somebody that can do the job safely and
Does Scout own their own container?
no, they do not. We rent from G&G.
And is G&G your garbage service provider?
Yes, they are.
How long have they been?
Scout took over in late 2015, I believe we moved to our location, say March area of 2016. Yes.
Is the roll-off container a scheduled pickup service or is it just as needed? And how often do you require it to be picked up?
It varies with the year and the season, construction that we're doing.
How is pickup arranged with G&G?
We make a phone call to the dispatch office, I guess,
Who makes that call?
either myself or typically. Often.
And when you call for service, do you receive service?
Lately, it's been pretty good. In the past, we've had some problems.
When did the problems begin?
Oh, I'd say somewhere around a couple of years ago, and then probably the last few months have been relatively good.
When you called to ask for service, tell me a little more about what that looked like.
There for a period of time, I'd say maybe a little over a couple of years ago. Trying to get a hold of people was difficult. did get a hold of them, then sometimes it was the wrong area or something, is what we were kind of told. It would take a couple, 2-3 weeks, a lot of times, probably to get the container. Collected, I guess. And helped.
When you reached a customer service person on the phone, were they able to give you a time?
Yeah, most of the time they tried to give you a timeline, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily followed all the time.
Did they ever tell you that they were not able to?
I don't think we ever got, you know, it might have been delayed, but I don't think there was a point that we ever not got the service completely.
Is the service that G&G provides meeting the needs of your company?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, it always could be better. Like I said, lately, it's been okay, so.
Have you ever had any problems with billing from G&G?
Yeah, there was a period of time there where I guess it doesn't matter to me if they don't get paid, but we didn't see invoices for months.
And then what did the invoice look like when you would ultimately receive it a time later?
Oh, a lot of, I guess the one time that I recall, and for sure, there was multiple invoices that come in through our email. And I don't believe there was overcharges on there, but if there was, we obviously would dispute them.
Do you have any other options for garbage hauling that you're aware of?
No.
Do you know Fred Varner?
Yes,
Have you ever had an opportunity to work around him?
yes,
Have you ever had an opportunity to observe Fred's equipment that he uses? What can you tell me about your observations of his equipment?
immaculate.
Have you ever had an opportunity to observe G&G's equipment?
To a degree, yes, I would say, you know, before we inspected, I
Have any conclusions or
I would
observations?
say on the poor side of operation, I guess.
And is that your opinion going all the way back to 2016, or is that more recent
I would
observation?
say probably seen more problems, you know, as time progressed, I guess. Equipment got more.
Do you support Southeast Garbage's application for a certificate to haul garbage? And if that application was approved, would you consider using that business to haul garbage for your company?
Yes, it would.
Do you have any concerns about the current service that you receive if Southeast application is denied?
Possibility, I mean, with no competition, I think it's a very poor way of doing business, I guess. But if that's the case, I mean, that pretty much gives the company the availability to do whatever they like. It makes it kind of difficult for companies, people, etc.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Pappas, continue with your cross-examination. This way.
Thank you, Commissioner Finucci. Good afternoon, Mr. Bechtel. You live 12 miles south of Baker?
Yes,
And do you have garbage service for your residents?
No.
What do you do for your garbage?
most of it, we have a pit of our own, we haul it ourselves.
So you self-haul garbage? Have you ever called G&G for a quote on service?
The community had at one point in time, kind of a community event, I guess. We got together and kind of contemplated using the service, but we opted not to again.
And when you say the community, do you live in an area where there's?
Well, there, you know, I would say in probably 5 mile radius, there's 4 or 5 homes, I guess.
Okay, so you looked at jointly, potentially having a service?
Yeah.
But you opted not to do that? Okay. Have you used G&G services outside of your work at Scout Energy?
No.
Never had a construction debris roll off?
No, we just had the one roll off container there and we haul it all into that container.
Okay, and in your personal life, you haven't used one either from G&G?
Not that I can recall.
What does Scout Energy do?
We're an oil and gas company.
And how many employees does it have?
We've got 20 locally.
Okay. And does Scout have other locations?
Yeah, we're scattered from northern Montana all the way down into Texas, so total company.
And of the 20 employees in the Baker office, do you supervise some of those?
Yeah, I did at one time supervise them all, and then now I currently supervise, I think it's 6.
And what do the people under your supervision do? For their jobs?
work?
Yeah.
The ones that I currently supervise are compressor operators and work on pipeline systems. Compressor operators is 1200 horse Waukesha's pumping natural gas. And then I also supervise the meter techs, which we have 1,000 natural gas wells from north of Baker to south, just into North Dakota. And they maintain all the meters at every 1,000 sites that we have.
So they travel a decent amount? Do you travel a decent amount too? And do you bring all of the waste back to Baker or do you dispose of it at the sites?
No, we bring it all back to Baker. We don't do a lot of construction activities here as of late, so we just bag everything back to back.
So you're not bringing back huge volumes typically?
Garbage bag, you know, a week or something like that.
And you have a 20-yard container, I believe you testified that you rent from G&G, is that correct?
Yes.
Is this an open top container?
No, it's one with the plastic closing lids or metal closing lid on the two.
And does G&G empty this container or do they switch it out for another container when they pull it?
It kind of varies. Sometimes they take the container and go empty it and bring it out the back, or otherwise they'll come with it.
You said the pickup is as needed and varies, correct? How many times per year do you think you have a dump from G&G?
That's kind of a tough one, but maybe 6 times a year, 4 to 6.
Okay, so about every 2 months, is that fair? You said that you'd had problems in the past starting a few years ago, is that correct? And you mentioned it was.
Sorry.
Yes.
And then you also testified that it was hard to get a hold of people, and I wasn't sure, did you say that was more than a few years ago?
Yeah, well, somewhere right in the time, somewhere in that 2-year frame, maybe a little before that, there was a time period there that was pretty difficult to get a hold of the right people to get your service.
Okay, and how long does it currently take you to get a turnaround on a request?
Lately, it's been
Is that a couple of days or a week
Yeah.
or?
Make a phone call, they'll tell you roughly when they'll be able to be there, normally within a couple of days or so.
And so those issues that you had more than a couple of years ago with getting a hold of people, those were resolved?
Yeah, over time with getting hold of people, I don't know if they changed their dispatching system or however it worked, but yeah, then you called and it asked you the area you called or area you're in, and then excuse me, connected you with the correct people, got you lined up again.
Okay, and so since that issue got resolved, and that would be a couple years ago that they resolved that issue, what issues have you had since then with the service?
The service got more of late.
Sure.
Yes. Timely, I mean, you get a hold of them, but you might not get your services taken care of right away.
Okay, and how long would it take to get services?
For sure, longer than it is now anyway, you know, if it's
A
a day or
week?
two now, maybe a week, yeah.
Okay. And have you had any issues this year on turnaround for jumping?
I don't think so as far as, you know, say from this calendar year forward, no.
Okay. And you mentioned that sometimes you would see a delay in the invoices, but you stated you didn't think there were any overcharges, so
I
the
don't
issue
believe
was.
so, I normally.
It's part of one at a time, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
The issue was that you were bringing up there was simply that the bills weren't getting to you monthly, is that correct?
Yeah,
Not that you were incorrectly billed.
I don't believe so.
Okay. How did you find out that Southeast Garbage was applying for a permit to haul garbage?
Confronted by Fred.
Did-
You mentioned it. Yeah.
And did Fred ask you to fill out an affidavit?
Yes,
And you did that?
yes.
And how do you know Fred?
Lived in Baker, it's a pretty small community. So,
Do you ever work with Fred?
yeah, I did shortly out of high school for, I think it's summer.
Work for him?
Yeah, well, I don't technically work for John Birch, but you might work with Fred or somebody else.
You were asked if about your observation of G&G's trucks. Have you inspected their trucks?
No, not totally. I mean, you just, you know, you're close when they come into the yard to pick up the container. I mean, you can see oil stains, et cetera, from a short distance.
And have you observed problems with their trucks this year?
Not that I can recall.
If Southeast Garbage is given a permit to haul garbage, would you be the person to make the decision on behalf of Scout Energy on who to haul garbage?
Probably.
Would Scout look for bids?
Yeah, I mean, I would accept or take it to my superiors, I guess, you know, I can't make the final decision.
Cost matter to the company? Nothing further. Thank you for your time.
Well, let's see, we have commissioner questions. Commissioner Bukacek, any questions?
No question, sir.
And I don't have any questions. So, Ms. Posman, would you like to redirect?
No redirect.
Would you like to permanently excuse or temporarily excuse this witness?
Permanent is fine.
You can go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Posman, you can call your next witness.
Is there anyone on the phone?
Ms. Bosman, council, just as a reminder, it's 4:35.
Yep.
About, we'll have to stop testimony at about 4:50-ish in order to discuss next day and pack up.
I believe my next witness should be about the length of this witness, so I think we'll be okay. No, oh, he's not here? Oh, I might be out. I am concerned that the gentleman that was on the phone call was trying to sit in self-service for quite some time, trying to connect, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Trying, yeah. I can just go check on to see if I have a witness here. May I?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. But we'll go. You want to introduce your witness?
Yes, I would call Britt Berkeley.
Okay, I need you to stand and raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you, sir. Witness, Ms. Walls.
Thank you. Could you say your name for the commission?
Britt Berkeley.
Could you spell your last name?
B-U-R-K-L-E.
And where do you live currently?
Up north.
How long have you lived in Putnam?
That's college all my life.
What is your current occupation?
I'm a pipeline operator.
Does Bridger Pipeline require garbage service?
Yes.
And what type of service do they require?
We have 3 of the round dumpsters, and then we have a big container at our site here. We also have other places within.
We have other what?
We have other sites
Oh,
that have used in the past.
So the 3 round dumpsters are more like a household garbage container?
Yep.
And then the big container is like a roll-off rectangle thing? Who provides the garbage service for those containers?
Changing
How long have they been doing it?
as long as I've
And how long have you been in at your job?
17 years.
Do you know who owns those containers?
Changing.
Are those garbages picked up as needed, or is it a scheduled service?
The 3 are, they come out and check them, I'm not sure how often they are. But then our roll-off one is just, gets a quick call.
And who makes that call?
I usually,
And they check on those 3 round dumpsters on a regular basis, so are you assuming it's kind of a weekly schedule?
I think so. It's on the route.
It's on a route. Have you experienced problems with the service, the garbage service?
Yes.
And what kinds of problems?
In the past, we've called for the roll-off ones get full and it takes, they say they're gonna be there in the next couple of days and it might be a week or 2. The round ones or whatever, there have been times where they don't and stuff goes flying everywhere. Then we go back and clean it up. There's one time where I know they have equipment issues, but they had an equipment issue where it leaked oil all the way through our yard, and we're a DOT films a regulated area that if we have stuff like that, we gotta, what's going on? If it's too much, we gotta call it in. It wasn't enough, but They leaked oil all the way in, and there's a big puddle right beside the dumpsters. They only got 2 out of 3 and they left. And didn't tell us anything. It was not a big deal, but we didn't know where it came from, what it was. So we had to get it checked out, see what it was.
Were you able to conclude that it was likely the garbage
Yeah,
truck?
because I could see where their route was, because they go to our neighbors, get theirs, and started there, and all the way through our yard, and went back out to the highway.
And on that occasion, they did not pick up a third dumpster? Did the third dumpster need service? Did you ever report any of these problems to G&G?
I haven't. I talked to the guy that's dumped before, but I've never reported to.
So you have talked to the driver?
Yes.
When you called for roll-off service and then it took some time before it got picked up, did you ever call them again? And what did they tell you?
I just said they'll get it as soon as they possibly can. There was one other thing, that billing issues. We have lots and lots of billing issues.
And what are some of those issues?
Right now, it's sent to me, the bill's sent to me, Baker, but all the addresses are from North Dakota locations. I have to make sure that it's for our location, and we have dumpsters for our other, we have another group company in Elfield. They quit using G&G because of the billing process was so screwed up for about 6 months. Her and I were back and forth, that we could not get it straight. And so we tried, and we just said, kind of gave up, and now we just look to make sure the location is my location, and I know the address is wrong.
When did some of these problems start?
Billing problems.
Any of the problems that you've described?
The billing problems were 2 years ago, and it was quite a problem then, but lately the amount of time now to get dumpsters replaced takes a while, and for the oil leak was last 6 months. Roll-off containers, it's kind of a one time they'll be there right away, next time they'll say they'll be there right away, 2 weeks, and that's kind of just the way it's been.
The whole time since you've used their service?
Yeah, with the roll-off.
Do you know Fred Berner?
Yes.
And how is it that you know him?
He's a F&D, he's a contractor that we use.
And have you ever observed Fred's equipment that he uses? Do you have any, what are your observations of his equipment?
Looks brand new all the time. It's clean, no leaks, no nothing. And for, like I said, for DOT, them to the regulated area, yeah, it's very, very welcomed, and lots of people notice it.
Do you support Fred's application for a Class D certificate of public convenience and necessity to haul garbage? If Southeast Garbage is granted their application, would you consider using their business to haul garbage?
I wouldn't consider it, I just have.
And are you in charge of that decision? Do you have any concerns about the quality of service that you're receiving if Fred's application is denied for future service? Do you think if Fred's application is denied, you would then be receiving the same service, the same service provider that you have been using?
Yes, because it's the only person that is around here to do it.
So you're not aware of any other options that you have? Okay. I don't have any further questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pappas, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you, Commissioner Panoche.
You live in Plevna? Do you have residential garbage service there? How do you dispose of your garbage? You're a field supervisor with Bridger Pipeline, is that correct?
Yep.
How many people do you supervise?
7.
And does Bridger Pipeline have multiple locations?
Yeah, there's here, Hyundai, Northfield, North Dakota. Well,
Do you know how many employees the company has in total? Do you ever have trouble hiring employees? Do you ever have trouble with a employee that isn't doing their job? You said you called for, in the past, you would call for roll-off services and it could take a week or two to get that roll-off, correct? When was that?
I don't know specific, but it was in the, I know there's lots of turnover, G&G, truck troubles and stuff like that, and that's when it happened, but it's happened before then every now and then, but lately it's been more and more.
Okay, and so lately, does that mean this calendar year?
Yes.
This month?
No, I think it was in January, I think is when I called for one and took it quite a while.
Okay. And have you had issues since January?
With roll-offs?
Correct.
We don't use them, I mean, it takes us a couple months to fill a roll-off. Or, couple, depends on what's going on, construction wise, to fill one up. So.
So you might have one sit for a few months before you call?
Yeah.
You said you had an issue with a tub having, getting dumped out on the ground. When was that?
Numerous times.
What was the last time?
A couple weeks ago.
Okay, did you call G&G?
And talked to the driver, he apologized.
Did he pick it up? No, he apologized and left? Okay, but you didn't call the company. You don't know if you reported it to the company?
One of those where I don't want, I know he's trying to do his job. I just was hoping to pick it up.
When you had the oil leak in the yard, when was that?
This year. Or maybe, I mean, it might have been end of 2023, 24, but it's somewhere.
And did you tell the driver about it?
He was gone.
Do you know who the driver was at that time?
I do not.
Did you call G&G about it?
I did not, but when the driver, I saw him, I caught up with him to figure out who it was, and I told him about it.
Okay, you did tell the
I
driver?
did tell him after he left our facility.
Okay. But you don't,
Actually, it wasn't me, it was my other employees that caught up with him.
okay, you don't know if he told the company? You said you've had to call repeatedly for service. Has that happened in this calendar year?
For the roll off, not for the, like the brown ones, they come on a whatever basis. Yeah, truck troubles or problems, it was a while before, but they did get that.
Okay, so have you had the roll off this year? Have you had to call repeatedly for service?
I think, yes.
When would that have been? Okay. Do you know who your driver is out there?
Our gates are open, so they, when I call, they come in, get them, go out, a lot of times we don't get time.
How did you find out about Southeast's application to haul garbage?
Right through to the grapevine that they were gonna do it, and then when doing some work for me, they mentioned that they were looking for
And did they ask you to fill out an application?
yes.
Or, excuse me, an affidavit? And you stated when Ms. Wasman asked you if you would consider using their services if they were granted the application, you just use them, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it would be, yes, for positive. Question, I don't know if they got it.
Does that depend at all on cost?
A little bit, but so I know what kind of service I might get. Stop it a little bit more. Okay, service.
You don't use G&G for residential, you do use it at your workplace. Have you ever used any roll-offs for construction debris from G&G?
That's their work.
Okay.
That's
Have you ever called Mouse City Sanitation Services for alternate service? And you stated you've used Mr. Barnes' company as a contractor? Okay. So, do you have any other relationship with the Barners? Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right. We'll go to commission questions. Commissioner Bukacek, any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Redirect, Ms. Wasman,
No redirect, thank you.
would you like to permanently excuse this witness or temporary?
Permanent is fine, thank you.
Sir, you may go. Thank you. 10-2, just like you want.
So the time is 4:50. Is there any other matters to be discussed prior to closing? Recessing for the day?
I don't think so.
Unless the commission wishes to address allotment of time.
We'll address that tomorrow morning.
So we agree at 8:30 then?
Do all parties agree? 8:30 to start tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll go off the record and see everybody at 8:30 in the morning.